BTC had been looking strong again, like I said, after a little bit of a pullback here. It's at just about 95K with some recovery today. Ethereum at just over 3,300. Its ratio to BTC still horrible. I think it's at 0.035 or so right now. Now, of course, in dollar value, it has moved up in the last few weeks as Bitcoin has moved up, but we still have yet to see that Ethereum, there's really nothing for sure to say in the chart that Ethereum has bottomed for sure against BTC. So we'll wait for that. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that we'll get into this. So maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. But if Bitcoin continues to a target, like I'm going to mention in a moment that Bob Lucas just the other day was tweeting about his thoughts on the cycles. Obviously, he talks about the 30-day cycles, 60-day cycles, 4-year cycles with Bitcoin. And he doesn't give out like actual projections specifically very often, but he did say flat out that he expected a 280K BTC in October or November of this year. I don't think the time is really that much of a surprise to anybody, but the kind of loftiness of the price, I think, is kind of surprising. Now, I think he also had a higher target back in 2021 that it never made it to either. But in theory, his price of 280K BTC, if Ethereum only kept the ratio that it's holding right now, the 0.035, which would be heinous. I mean, I think it's definitely going to do better than that. But if it only did and BTC's topped out at that number, you'd be looking at about a $10,000 Ethereum, which honestly, I would be happy with. I know some people would be like, what the hell, a 2x from last cycle and things like that. I know some people would be upset by that. But I still think we'd have a lot of room to run, even with just a 10K Ethereum, if that is what would happen. That said, if Bitcoin gets to that price, I do think the ETH ratio obviously gets much, much better than that. We probably look at more 15K plus. But anyway, just in terms of BTC right now, I mean, hey, we've turned the calendar. I mean, we're in 2025 now, so there is no more like, what are we going to run up to by the end of the year? You know, we've got just all systems go ahead of us here. Trump's, like you said, about to be inaugurated. So what do you think timeline wise maybe we're looking at for Bitcoin over the course of this year, all of 2025, how you see it, Ewok, and maybe how it compares to past cycles you've been in? Obviously 2017 was pretty different. I mean, things were pretty weird then, much different landscape than we have right now, 2021 and where we are right now. So what do you think about BTC? And then we can get into the ETH side of it here too soon.
Yeah. So my speculation, my spidey sense tells me that within the next, what's inauguration? The 20th, I believe.
Yeah.
So I think within another couple days, you're probably going to see people trying to front run it. What I'm not sure of is on inauguration day, you know, when the changes are made to the SEC and all that good stuff, will that be a sell the news event? I'm very curious to see what happens on that day and the couple days following that, especially if it does run up in advance. You know, I think we could probably push this level back here to the 108, 115,000 in a short little run up. I think it could do that. But the big run up that I kind of see happening is more, you know, March, April-ish. And I don't know if we get a full blow off top. I mean, you guys will notice when it goes, it runs in candles like these that we saw back here in November, right? I mean, you see just large green candles, then you see a couple sideways ones, and then another large one. So you'll notice the pattern, and that will be the actual start of the, you know, the I don't want to say the start of the blow off top, but and then the next question becomes, will it double top? You know, will it take a little pullback and then make a higher run up in later in the year, like August, September, maybe? I could totally see that scenario playing out. As for Lucas saying 280, I think that's extremely high. Even Richard called a 240 at one point on this cycle, which kind of surprised me. I thought that was high too. You know, who knows? Could it hit 200? It's very possible with the amount of influx coming in once the changes are made. But I really think what we want to hear is SEC is dropping all these cases. They're not pursuing the crypto stuff. That will breathe a sigh of relief into a lot of people. They remove the Coinbase case. They remove all
Right.
the things against all the exchanges, and I think that just becomes a catalyst kind of thing. I do see at that point Ethereum just taking off as well. So yeah, I think 15K is probably on the low end for this cycle for Ethereum. But I could see it a 200K Bitcoin. I don't know how much higher that it'll go after that, but you almost have to run these. You run the charts and you see the movements and the averages and where it went, and then you can kind of put it relative to the new um, cycle that we're in. And I believe it puts us up in between 180 and 220 would be my guess. Now, will that happen again? Like, because last year, remember, we got the 65K top in April, I believe it was.
Last cycle. Last cycle, yeah.
Or last cycle, sorry. And then, it did go up and make a 67K retop for a day in September. So, will it kind of eclipse that, and by how much? That'll be the interesting thing to kind of pay attention to if it does do the double cycle type thing. But yeah, I mean, you're going to start to hear, once it starts to run, you're going to hear all these people going $500,000 million Bitcoin and all that stuff. And it's just more to get people, the normies that aren't in crypto, to think they still have a chance. But when you realize it, it's even a 300,000 is only a 3x from here.
Right.
Now, traditional finance would love a 3x, right? Because it takes many, many years to get something like that in the S&P or the Dow or anything like that. So, that's kind of what I foresee anyway, as far as Bitcoin goes. But again, back to Ethereum, I really think it's going to take off. We have not seen a whole lot of action. There has been ETFs that are approved, and it's just not quite happening yet. And I'm not sure why. What the holdup is, or are people just getting as much as they can before they send it? I kind of have to believe that, because this range, the whole way back, even as of last year, we just haven't done a whole lot. It's done a whole lot of consolidation, and we're still at the same level. We broke 4,000 once or twice, and just hanging out at these low 3,000 levels. I just think it's a very good opportunity for a lot of these people that are in the bigger markets to acquire as much as possible. So that's where I'm sitting. But yeah, I mean, I think 17 to 20 is probably a decent assumption if Bitcoin can go to 200,000. Ethereum can definitely make it to 18, 20,000, I believe, if not a little bit more.